On the art scene, watching artists at work during the Artisan Studio Tour.
We're really excited about the Artisan Studio Tour. This is our first year. My favorite part about it is that you actually get to come into the Artisan's studios.
It's not just a craft show. You can get in these people's studios, you can see them work, meet them, see the space where they work in. I think that's really important.
Hanging out with Richmond's own Mr. Showtime.
Well, the life of a working actor, it's anxiety punctuated by either euphoria or disappointment. Because you might book a job, and it's that 5 minutes after you book that job that you're sort of on cloud nine, and then you realize it's always time to get back to work.
Making of Enlight Richmond 2019.
There's no trial run for Enlight, so the day of installation is the night of Enlight. So there's no opportunity to test things out, and so it's really important on a logistical standpoint to talk through whatever the challenges might be of the site. People coming up that hill.
Join us as our team of performers and artists celebrate the people and places that create art in Central Virginia. Next on the art scene. Hi everyone, I'm Halia Roberts and welcome to the art scene. Chimborazo Park in the Churchill community of Richmond was the site of the largest Confederate military hospital during the Civil War. And after the war, it became a refuge for freed slaves as a freedmen's community. That history will be reflected in the artist's work for this year's Enlight Richmond. Enlight is a free public exhibition of light-based art that has been curated and organized by 1708 Gallery since 2008. That's later in the show. But up first, for the last 25 years, artists in Charlottesville and its surrounding counties have opened up their studios for a weekend of interacting with art enthusiasts, demonstration of techniques, and all-around fall family fun.
The Artisan Studio Tour is an opportunity for the public to see just what we artisans are doing. Not just what we make, but where we make it, how we make it, what goes on in our whole lifestyle. This is like a glimpse behind the scenes. 1994, when we started, we were a small group, mostly Charlottesville-centric group, and we thought this was a way to educate the public. We had about 8 studios and maybe 12 artisans, and it consistently grew now to be 46 artisans and 25 studios. So we're really proud of that growth. We use the term artisans for the studio tour because we aren't doing what I call flat art. I would say painting, drawing, printmaking, photography, these are not included. What we do include are 3-dimensional crafts. Woodworking, jewelers, fiber workers. We have lots of pottery. Coming back for her second year is Kathy Vaughn, and she works in metal, so she's working in copper.
Last year was my first year at the Artisan Studio Tour in Charlottesville, and it was a really wonderful experience. It's different from a traditional craft show in that you are actually inside of an artist's studio. So you have an opportunity to see the tools that they use to make what they make. You have an opportunity for a one-on-one conversation. It gives me a chance to talk to people who are interested in my work and just be in the company of other artists who are working at a very high level. I like to do things that are functional, that people can use. And the other thing that I work with is flat copper, and I use live leaves with the copper to react to make images on copper. Something that looks a little bit like a painting, but there's no pigment involved. It's all a chemical reaction between the acids that I use, the leaves themselves, and the copper. And I just like things that sort of spark joy and just inspire people to say, I wonder how she made that.
The Artisan Studio Tour has been going on for 25 years now, and we've been a member of the tour for about 11 years. Here at Tide River Pottery, we make functional wood-fired stoneware. Everything from 4-inch T-bowls to 4-foot tall vases. And they are wood-fired in a large Anagama Japanese-style kiln for 5 days to 2,400 degrees Fahrenheit. Everything we make is functional. It's food safe, it's dishwasher safe, it's microwave safe. Some of it is used for serving, storing, and cooking, and some of it is used for arranging flowers or contemplation or outdoor landscaping. When people come to Tide River for the Artisans Tour, they will see the kiln being fired. We'll be in the midst of 6 days of firing the kiln 24/7. They'll have an opportunity to look in the firebox and see molten white pots as they're being fired, and then come in the studio and see finished work and hopefully purchase and understand more about why people are makers.
Yeah, shows are a great way for us to, be there in person next to our work and really kind of showcase who we are and what we do.
Most of the tour artisans do not have open studio hours where you can just drop in. So if you want to see where it's made, how it's made, what tools are used, where we get our materials, this is a chance to talk to the artisan.
Phoenix Handcraft is a architectural design firm, pretty much, is how I like to think of it. We're design build. We're artists making one-of-a-kind objects to fit your need, be it a staircase, or a dining room table, or a hall bench, or a mosaic backsplash, or just decorative art that you want in your home to make your walls look better.
I'm really excited about this particular project that Kyle and I are doing because it's something that's very unique to our company. We have this little tagline under our logo that says metal, mosaics, and wood because it's the only way that we could figure out to wrap it all up. What do we do? Who are we? So this particular project, we're making a set of drawer pulls that are made out of metal, and they have a mosaic inlay. So in the end, we'll have what is a very colorful, tactile object for something that's not usually. We're really excited about the Artisan Studio Tour. This is our first year. My favorite part about it is that you actually get to come into the Artisans studios and see where they work, see what they do, see their tools, get like a first-person experience of what it's like to be the artisan.
It's not just a craft show. You can get in these people's studios, you can see them work, meet them, see the space where they work in. I think that's really important.
And it's an opportunity for a dialogue to take place between consumers and we makers that just doesn't happen in a retail experience.
There's also a big difference between looking at a photo of something online or on our website or social media and actually seeing it in person. And then it's just nice to talk to people and sort of create more community and in-person connections.
I think that working in Virginia as an artist is a really wonderful thing because there are so many people in the community in Charlottesville and Richmond, just all over the state who are very interested in art. They're very interested in seeing and supporting what people do in the community.
The tour is free and it's open to the public, and you can bring your kids and you can expose your children to something they won't see every day, they won't see when they go to the mall, they won't see when they walk downtown. Come for the weekend, see all of us, don't try to do it in one day, it's too much to cover. There are 25 studios this year for our 25th anniversary tour and 46 artisans. That's a lot to see.
To learn more about the Artisan Studio Tour and who's participating this November, check out their website.
If you've dipped a toe in the Richmond theater community, there's no doubt you've heard of actor Scott Wichman, who's been a performer in the area for over 20 years. We sat down with Mr. Showtime to talk about his career in acting, directing, and writing.
I prefer roles in a compelling story. So when you're younger, I think you look for these showcase things that are great. But I always love when there's a really wonderful story and there's a really great role in the wonderful story. If it's a comedy, if it's a drama, it's like kind of like asking somebody if they like steak better than they like ice cream. Like you love them both, but you don't want to eat them all the time, except for ice cream. I eat ice cream all the time. I was a very impressionistic kid. I was like a sponge. I took pop culture in, television. I immediately started spitting impressions of TV characters back out, and it was the 70s, and so there was like 3 channels, and I was one of the channels for my family. I think that's when my family knew that, I think we have a performer here and he's the only one in the family. And then of course my teachers would say, if he would just buckle down, so much energy.
I shall attempt to lift my own weight, 170 pounds.
I was in the 4th grade and I lived in Bellows Falls, Vermont, and I went to school with Claudia Williams, who was the daughter of Red Sox Hall of Famer Ted Williams, and she was Alice in Alice in Wonderland, and it was a musical, and I got cast as the Cheshire Cat. So my grandparents came up, of course, not to see me, but to see Claudia Williams. But I had to sing this song, "'Twas Brillig," and I just owned it. It was like a bird found out it could fly, is probably the closest feeling that I can, it's just when you know that something is right. And the great thing is that nobody in my family put a lid on it. I've been very fortunate to have the kind of parents and family that have been very encouraging all through my entire life, even when I said I wanted to do this for a living. I think that it's important for young people to have an outlet and to have people around them that believe in them. When I was a sophomore in high school, we moved back to Massachusetts, and when you move when you're a sophomore, it's really tough. And my mother noticed that I was a little remote, so she asked my guidance counselor to look into it. My guidance counselor, Mr. Plummer, sent out these feelers to all my teachers. My high school theater teacher, Mr. Hammond, wrote back, Scott is doing well. Is there a problem? And if so, how can I help? And that made a huge difference. Not only did he provide me with an opportunity to have an artistic outlet when I really needed one, but he was there in a profoundly human way. And my mom never forgot that, and neither did I. Well, the life of a working actor, it's interesting because I live with a working actor. My wife is an actor. And it's anxiety punctuated by either euphoria or disappointment. Because you might book a job, and it's that 5 minutes after you book that job that you're sort of on cloud 9, and then you realize it's always time to get back to work. There's always a show, there's always an audience, there's always a story to tell. There's always someone who can take over the role that you're playing, and getting a job is a privilege, and it's the exception, not the rule. So if you can find an artistic community that supports you and accepts you, then you've kind of won the lottery.
It's a big payoff. Guy wins 10 grand. Ooh, genius.
I've been here in the Richmond community for 20 years, and when I came here, it was as kind of an itinerant actor moving through, and sort of what I realized that the people in the community, they really work at a high level. There are people that have come from larger markets or have come from Richmond, gone to larger markets, really gotten some chops, and then they came back. There's an energy here, and I think you know what I'm talking about. There's this creative energy that is permeating all of Central Virginia, whether it's music, whether it's theater, whether it's visual art, whether it's the restaurant scene, whether it's entrepreneurship. There's a creative sense here and a sense of possibility. I was cast as Sinatra opposite Renee Marie, who's an incredible world-renowned jazz recording artist. And of course, I've been a Sinatra fan and a fan of the Great American Songbook for years and years. So I created this sort of nickname, Mr. Showtime, that I think puts all the different aspects of what I do together. And I just sort of build myself as like a one-man Rat Pack. And so I connected with a friend of mine, Ryan Corbett, who runs the Westwood Music Club. And he and I have been working for about 10 years. And I love it because there's an audience for it. There is a yearning to experience these songs, and I love sharing them with people. If somebody has never seen me perform before, I'd like them to enjoy themselves. Just enjoy themselves. I mean, Joe DiMaggio always gave his 100% because he said that this might be the only time someone sees me play ball. Like, I don't have those words, so I'm going to use Joe's, even though he's a Yankee. You know, honestly, I've had so many incredible opportunities at Virginia Rep and several of the other theaters around the town that whatever's next I know is going to be fun and interesting. I just want to do good work, and I want to do it with people who are committed, and I also want to see other people succeed and be celebrated. Even if your name is above the marquee, there are so many other people supporting the storytelling that you find the really sort of profound moments are the moments when you connect with the actors on stage, or maybe when you suggest somebody for a role and they audition for it and they get it, and all these other things that you never could have predicted that make an artistic life fulfilling.
Any way you look at it, I've got a world that swings. Shoo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba. Yeah! I'm at Orbital Music Park with my piece, Control Command, which made its debut in New York City's Times Square. The piece is about deciphering fact from fiction and whether we can wake up to reality. You can see it at this year's Inlight Richmond, which is at Chimborazo Park. Inlight Richmond is a free public art exhibition of light-based works of art and performance. We sat down with our friends at 1708 Gallery and several of the other artists involved in the exhibition to find out how it all comes together.
The way we've instructed the jurors in the past is really to go through everything, make note of questions which we can entertain as conversation. I think it's the best way to go.
When the board came together to think about how to celebrate 1708 Gallery, to create an event, create a moment that gave back to the community, that really celebrated all of the artists and supporters and audience members who'd been a part of 1708 that entire time.
And we were just brainstorming about what to do for our 30th anniversary, because we had a number of ideas that had been considered.
We're also really interested in inspiring people to consider the importance of art in public spaces and to talk about art freely and make it a part of their world.
That's so cool.
You had been to Paris and seen the Nuit Blanche, which is all over the city. It's like an inlight all over Paris. And brought that idea to the board.
And I wasn't the only one.
Right, Chuck Scanlon also had seen it.
And that's the one where we decided to commit to this event, but we didn't have a name for it.
The second year where we had the Lantern Parade?
Yes.
That was my
yes.
little,
That
I
was-
couldn't remember if it was the second or third, yeah.
Yeah, and that's important to talk about because it involves families.
Right.
And we had we had groups at Viz Arts and VMFA and various places. The children would, and also at First Fridays, and children would make lanterns, and then they brought them. The children and their families brought the lanterns and had a lantern parade in the earlier part of the evening.
It was truly an opportunity to engage communities and populations that wouldn't normally be engaged in art and contemporary art.
And then I remember so well, Amy, you and Lucy and I talking about what the next year would be, and you and I were advocating for continuing on Broad Street again to like learn from the first year, to develop off of the framework of the first year. And Lucy was like, no, this thing needs to move around the city, and we can use contemporary art to engage different parts of the city. Needless to say, Lucy won that argument.
And we did the Turning Basin and the Riverwalk. We've done Scott's Addition. We've done VMFA twice.
Monroe Park.
And Monroe Park, right?
Tredegar, Chaco Slough now. Yeah.
We've been all over town.
We've been all over town.
We get around.
Because you're gonna get 3 or 4 people on it. There's no trial run for Enlight. So the day of installation is the night of Enlight. So there's no opportunity to test things out. And so it's really important on a logistical standpoint to talk through whatever the challenges might be of the site, to make sure that we've identified lights that are going to need to be turned out, where there might be power sources, where there might be any issues that we need to think about in advance.
Yeah, so that's the only thing. We'll keep thinking about it because it is a big street to block off.
So this year, Enlight 2019 taking place in Chimborazo, we have 11 artists who we've invited to either create brand new works that directly engage Chimborazo and some of its narratives and histories, or have work that really closely aligns with some of those narratives and histories.
Rachel Pater and Richmond Story House. There's a crew over there that's working on an oral history project on the Churchill Tunnel collapse. Milk River Arts partnered with them to create a kind of visual way of telling that story and expressing that story that involves several local artists. I am an artist mentor here at Milk River Arts, and Milk River Arts is a neurodiverse community of artists with and without special needs. Usually, an individual artist with special needs is paired with an artist without special needs from the Richmond community, and they kind of work together in this one-on-one mentor relationship.
Can you show me the bus louder? Can you show me with paint or with pencil? And they look at a tight space, they come up and they look up close. Okay, so we're gonna do a tight little brush. And this
Castaway's Lantern project is part of Enlight's larger Lantern Parade that happens with every Enlight festival. And so there's going to be workshops where people will be creating these kind of railroad milk carton lanterns to contribute to the Castaway project, which will then, so they'll process through the streets and then be hung onto this tunnel that the giant illuminated boxcar theater will then be parked underneath. So there's a lot of literally moving parts to the project.
My name is Malcolm Peacock. I'm an artist. I live in New Orleans, Louisiana. For Enlight Richmond this year, I'm making a film with 7 of my friends that sort of conceives of thoughts and modalities and processes that respond to the Richmond's Freedmen's Bureau. So the bureau that was created by Lincoln post-emancipation. So I hope that when people come to Enlight this year that they're exposed to a different way of thinking about context and about space and about their relationships to people that may or may not be like them.
conversations that we had around year 4 and year 5 about how we didn't want Enlight to like run its course, and we didn't want it to sort of exhaust its audience, and that maybe 10 years would be like, that's what it would be. We would do 10, and we are clearly blowing past that 10.
I knew right away that we would have our own version of Nuit Blanche, and it would evolve as 1708 has evolved.
It's just grown to be this magnificent thing, and people love it. And it's part of our past, it's part of our present, it's part of our future, and it feels really good to have been part of it. Yeah.
If you want to know more about any of the artists or organizations or events that we've profiled, go to their websites or follow them on social media for more information. If you have an event or story idea that you'd like to see on the art scene, connect with us on social media or send us an email. Thanks for watching. Join us next time for more stories about the amazing art in your area. And remember, whether you see it, hear it, or make it, it's a part of the art scene.